Good evening. My name is Michael Delamonica, and these are the Fitchburg School Committee debates. We're having one debate tonight. We have 5 candidates with us: Maritza Knight, Peter Stevens, Erynn Dayhoff, DJ Tardiff, and Robert Campbell. Rosemary Reynolds, incumbent school committee member, was invited. She is not here tonight. So we will go with these 5, and we'll start right with the questions. Well, speaking of attendance, there was a recent study of attendance of school committee members at both general meetings and subcommittee meetings. There was a study done. A few members, let's just say, did not get passing grades. Can we hear the thoughts of each candidate as to the results of this study? And we start, I believe, with podium 2, which is Maritza Knight.
Thank you so much. I do like to be addressed as Dr. Knight. In the current study that was done, the reason I believe some of the members were not able to attend all the meetings or the subcommittee meetings that were in session is due to illness. Some folks experienced serious illness. There was the COVID coming back, and that kept some of the members away. But I believe that all of the members that are there try to do the best they can, including myself, to attend all the meetings and to be a good representative for the body of students here in the city of Fitchburg, so that the students can be provided with the best education possible and be able to be productive citizens in society. Thank you so much.
Peter Stevens.
Yes. First of all, thank you, FATV, for having us tonight. Meetings are very important to me. I'm going on my 16th year on the school committee. I have never missed a regular scheduled meeting of the school committee in the 16 years. I have, not to my knowledge, I'm chairman of the subcommittee resource, which is finance committee, and building needs committee, and I have not missed one of those that I'm aware of. I'm chairman of CAPS Collaborative, which is I'm Fitchburg's representative to CAPS. I have been for 15 years, and I have never missed a meeting of the CAPS Collaborative. So I take this I'm very responsible. Yeah.
Thank you. Erynn Dayhoff.
Good evening. Thank you for the question. Obviously, I think that attendance on a meeting and for a position that you signed up and volunteered to do is very important. I think that life happens, though. And luckily in this day and age, we have virtual options. We have the ability to write in comments or try to find ways to engage in our commitments, even if something comes up and we're unable to attend in person. That being said, it's difficult to do a job if you don't show up for it. And so I think it is imperative on all of us to, do our best to show up when we can and to figure out ways to participate even when we cannot be there in person. I was involved with Rheingold's PTO as their president for 3 years, and I did not ever miss a meeting. So obviously, I was fortunate in that I was able to get that done. However, if anything had come up and I had been unable to be there in person, I still would have made sure to make sure that my voice was heard, that I took care of my responsibilities, and that I was able to account for my absence.
DJ Tardiff.
I just want to say thank you to FATV for hosting this. Right off the bat, this was a very important information that came out to myself. To put it plainly, if I was attending school and attended only 65%, 70% of classes, I would not be able to do my job. We need to expect better. And to echo Ms. Dayhoff's points, there's virtual options. You can send in your comments. For years, I've been watching meetings from home and recently have been attending in person. There are so many ways to stay involved, and I think that it's really, really important to make sure that you get your voice heard if you are elected to serve the community. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And, Robert Campbell.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to thank FATV for giving us an opportunity to debate here. Life in general, attendance is important. It's like going to work. You have to, attend work, obviously. As adults, as a representative, we have to set an example for some of our students to attend, work and make sure we follow up. And like other candidates here said, basically there's other means and other ways to get the information, and it is important. I think that should be stressed quite a bit, and accountability is important. I've been a member of a Monty Tech School Committee for 16 years. At that times, when you're sick, I understand that, you will be out, but I usually follow up to make sure if I missed anything, I get that from my colleague or the recording secretary, let us know. So it is important, and that should be, I think, looked at and watched by the citizens of Fitchburg as well.
So we do have a minute left here for open discussion. Did anybody wish to add anything? I know the possibility of virtual meeting was mentioned. The issue is that having to comply with open meeting requirements and the like, would we all agree that in person in this day and age would be preferred?
Definitely.
Yes, it makes a difference. If somebody's missing virtually, it makes a difference on how you vote. You have to take a roll call vote if somebody's doing it virtually, or you just vote when you're there. Everybody's there. The chairman can call for a vote and everybody votes. They can say yes or no or aye, but if you're virtual, then they need a roll call.
DJ Tardiff, and then Mr. Campbell.
I think one really important fact to note is, yes, in person is always going to be better. Like you said, Mr. Stevens, it's much easier to engage with people in front of you. I like having the option of virtual, as Ms. Dayhoff mentioned, like if something comes up last minute, you can still participate. What concerned me about the report that came out was members missing 3 to 4 months of meetings at a time, or attending 2 out of 8 of their subcommittee meetings. There's just not in my book a really good understanding for that. If life happens and it gets in the way, that's one thing, but to miss more than 70% of your meetings is just too much, and we need to expect better.
Robert Campbell, you want to answer?
Basically, it boils down to, I personally myself, I like to have an actual, in-person meeting. Sometimes it's, hey, we're gonna have a meeting in the Zoom. It's so unpersonal, basically. You can see that in the paper. There's a lot of accountability that's needed right now. All the elected officials, I look at the Monday, Sunday Sentinel, you see how many the elected officials are doing the roll call, how many. So there has to be an accountability of some sort. So you can't be there. I don't think you should participate and run for office. Thank you.
Anybody else? We have about 30 seconds. We're good. On to the next question. Core school subjects, which for purposes of this question, we will define as language arts, math, science, and what I would call the core social studies, such as history, geography, civics. Do we spend enough time on these subjects? Not enough, just right? And if you feel that we don't spend enough time on them, what is distracting us from doing so? So we will start with Peter Stevens.
In recent years, our time has been pulled in many directions, and I think we've cut back on the amount of time we've spent on the core subjects. When I look back, we used to be able to teach during the day, every day. I was an elementary school teacher, grade 6, English, spelling, reading, science, social studies, math. We also had music and art. And it seems we have been trying to squeeze in more. And I think we really need to take a good, long, hard look at our curriculum.
Okay. Erynn Dayhoff.
I think that core curriculum is clearly very important. I think that it is designed by people who study what's important for our children to learn. I think that it's a good benchmark for a basic level of education that is required to, eventually be an adult participating member of our society. That being said, I think we spend a lot of time in our schools measuring the success of our core curriculum in the form of tests. And I think that it's very difficult for our teachers to juggle not only teaching that very important curriculum, but also creating an educational environment where children can also be children. I came up in public schools. I remember the importance of learning the curriculum, of doing my homework, of passing the test, but I also have incredibly fond memories of playing on the playground and interacting with my peers in the cafeteria, and having those little chats on your way to class. And so I think that it's very important that we find ways, and as a school committee, encourage ways to make sure that there's moderation in both, that we educate our children with the curriculum that is important, and also allow them to be children and experience the social aspects of being in a public school system that help prepare them for adulthood.
DJ Tardiff?
One thing that not everybody knows about me is I work in special education. I'm a BCBA by trade, and so as a result, I find unique ways to teach or to support the education of curriculum. I do agree that we are spending actually an appropriate amount of time on the core subjects. What I would like to see done is a little bit more creative of ways to implement those core subjects. For instance, I remember learning a lot more about math actually from music class as a kid. I think we need to take a look at the best ways we can differentiate our education systems for every single student, whether they have challenges learning or excel in learning. Like Ms. Dayhoff said, the tests to teach to is exhausting for the teachers and for our parents and for our students. We need to be able to find ways to evaluate their progress without it just being a metric on a test. Thank you.
Robert Campbell.
Well, when I went to Fitchburg State to become a teacher, actually I went to Fitchburg State to become a businessman, and ended up being in teaching because of the experience I had substituting schools and things like that. And I look back when I was in high school, and you had those core curriculum, and those are essential. And right now, depending on the frameworks, how we look at it, I see our students, they don't know enough about our civics. There's no big emphasis on civics, and some of these things are essential in terms of what we need to make sure the kids understand. So I look back, we had some great classes, math, English, science, social studies, and as it got further on, different type of curriculum came on board, and things got changed a little bit, and it created some problems. Then, with the MCAS issue, that was another problem, and we ended up teaching the kids to take the tests and things like that. So measuring, the competency determination of an individual, it has to be set up in some other form. And I think, going back to the basics, where I grew up as in the 70s as a kid, I thought I had a great rounded education. And we need to go back to the basics and bring these back to the kids.
So Rosemary Reynolds, who has just arrived, did you hear the question, or did you come in after?
No, I did hear it.
You did hear the question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, good. So 2 minutes.
Okay. I surprisingly received a call from a parent this week and said, I told them that we would be talking and discussing the schools. And she said, please tell them to go back to phonics for reading, phonics, for simple phonics. And that's the foundation. As you may have known, we didn't do well in the evaluation of our testing. And we should do well. We should do well, regardless of whether you know the English language or learning the English language. Phonics is the base. You start with a little block and continue. think what has gone wrong is I think our society has gone through a period of experimentation of new ideas, discarding the old ideas that worked, and basically has left God out of the picture. And without that, you're just wandering around subject to subject. So I would like to go back to a simple life, a strong foundation of phonics, followed by a strong foundation of civics, not at the experimentation level where you might be in a special class, a postdoctoral or something, where you might discuss a particular question, but about the heroes of our country and what our country was founded on, and how it's developed, and what we stand for, and morality. You don't even hear that word in school today, morality. You call it choice, whatever that is. So teachers have a sacred obligation to help in the formation of the student, regardless of what level the teacher is at, from nursery up through, in the city, up through the high school level. That's what we're responsible for. And then get back to the strong, simple basics, forget the experimentation, and also just stay steady. We have turbulent times.
Dr. Maritza Knight?
Thank you, sir. As the chair of the Student Support Subcommittee for the last 4 years, and as a certified mathematics teacher here in the state of Massachusetts, who have had the opportunity to teach mathematics, a core academic class, and also teach in the English language learning department, or bilingual, that we had years ago, who has taught English as a second language, the sciences, the social studies. I saw the gap that exists in the educational, in the curriculum that's offered here in the city of Fitchburg. And I also work with the Department of Education, the Massachusetts Department of Education, with the CURET program, Curriculum Rating by Teachers. So I always stress to the superintendent of school that when we set our agenda for the Student Support Subcommittee, that we focus on how can we improve curriculum material that is presented to our students so that they can be successful. How can we encourage teachers to use a variety of methods and techniques of teaching to capture the attentions of students, meet their individual needs, and accommodate their various learning styles so that they can be successful in these core academic courses. So I always stress that in the meeting, and suggest many strategies and things that can be used in order to help teachers improve their pedagogy so that students can be more successful in the educational system here in the city of Fitchburg, and so that the report card that is presented by the Department of Education can improve in scores, because currently the scores are not where I would like to see it. Everybody would like to see the scores.
Okay, we have about 2 minutes. Anybody wish to add on to their answer, or any further comment based on the answers? DJ, did you say? Yep.
I just would like to bring up, working in a field where things change based upon new information and new studies that prove the efficacy of certain treatments or curriculum or strategies, that as much as I do respect some of the old style teachings, we do need to also respect what data is proving is more effective, whether or not it's a program that we like from the past. We need to keep going forward based upon the evidence of where these curriculums and teaching styles tell us we should be going. Yeah.
Did you have something, Peter Stevens?
That enters into it is the finances. It affects the curriculum. I initiated a two-way bilingual program at Rheingold Elementary School. We were able to run it for 4 years. That's a course where you need a bilingual teacher in it, and you need half Anglo and half Spanish speaking. It's an excellent program. I'd love to see it come back. We lost it because of finances. I also ran a program called Structured Play for first and second graders, run by Mike Pellin. taught kids how to play together, how to get along with one another, and contribute in games. There were no elimination games on the playground. Kids were taught how to make games better and how to get along and include everybody.
Thank you. We need to move on to the next question. Fitchburg is projected to face significant budgetary issues in the coming years. Schools are the largest part of the budget. Assuming that cuts will need to be made, from where are we cutting? And we start with Erynn Dayhoff.
That's a question. Well, I would like to first state that budget cuts are not something that are new to a public school system anywhere in our country. Our public schools have been defunded for decades, and I think that is reflected in our current state of affairs. I think that it's important to try to meet the needs of our children with the resources that we have on hand. I don't think that a 2-minute debate forum is the place where we're going to solve our budgetary issues as a city. And as somebody who is relatively new to municipal politics, I am not going to pretend to be able to stand here and pull numbers out of the sky about how much money is being allocated over here and how much money is being allocated over there. However, I can tell you that I will show up and I will do the research and I will look at the data and I will study it and I will figure out how our money is being used, and I will do my best to trust our experts and engage in creative solutions to allocate our given budget in ways that most benefit our students and our families.
DJ Tardiff.
So, like Ms. Dayhoff said, again, nobody wants to make cuts anywhere in the city. We all want everything to operate the way it is, if not better. And to that point, we really need to remember that the school experience is investing in our community. When we invest and make sure we're funding things appropriately for our students that are going to grow up here, contribute to our society here, we really are investing in our future, not just right now. I think it's really important to maintain that understanding, and when I'm out knocking doors, it's one of the biggest concerns. People that don't have children in the school system get frustrated that all of this money is going to the school system. But, these are going to be our community members that work at the stores, that service our utilities, that do all of these great things for us. And I would be really struggling to find an appropriate cut within the school department. Thank you.
Robert Campbell.
Well, that's a really tough question in many respects, and you're right. I've been a school teacher for 35 years, an administrator, and four of the different school districts. A few of them I got pink slipped as a teacher, so I know the feeling of where they have to run the school. So we got to look at this constructively, in anticipation of what's going to happen with budgets. Year before, with the administrators and the school committee working together to forecast, this is the anticipation it's going to happen. It's just overnight they're going to say, hey, let's start cutting. We need to cut. We got to do this and that. So it's a system that we need to look at. Unfortunately, when Prop 2.5 came around in the 80s, there, it did away with a lot of programs, and I think it sort of destroyed the school, in many respects. So those are the end result, but the solution to that would be, we have to look at our legislators, another means of funding the Chapter 70 money, which comes to the school. Unfortunately, we're a poor urban school. We're not Wellesley, we're not Weston, where they have all the amount of money they have. So we have to be creative, find some means of grant writing opportunities. So in terms of where to cut, I have to work together with the administration to see where we could start. So it'll be difficult to say, hey, let's get rid of the band, let's get rid of the art, let's get rid of the music. And that's not what school's supposed to be. So it'd be a challenge, but I would have to, as a new committee member, I would have to look at this and come up with some type of strategy.
Rosemary Reynolds.
This is a question that we have faced in the school committee in the recent years when the funds were drying up. And I can tell you, I have great respect for our administration, the superintendent, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Roach, and I saw them go through quite an extensive period of where could they cut, what could they cut. They even cut themselves, willing to cut their own funds. Fitchburg, I hope, will never, ever dismiss the music and the band and the art and the theater. We've been known to maintain that through thick and thin for decades, and it's one of the hallowed places in our school subjects that they're stable, I believe. And we're up to the task. And when we did have extra money due to the COVID monies that came in, we purchased excellent books that will be fine. So I trust that we're up to the task.
Dr. Maritza Knight.
Thank you, sir. I've had the opportunity doing my CACS Principal Certification Program at Fitchburg State to put together a budget for the entire city of Fitchburg, which has a limited budget, by the way. And so I've seen where the monies goes. But one of the things that hurt me the most is that when it's time to cut, the cut is placed in an area that is affecting our student body. For example, studies are showing that when students are exposed to teachers of color, that they become more creative, better problem solvers, they have a desire to go to college and to become successful. So when we remove the teachers that are in front of the students, that affect the educational outcome of our students. So I would like to see that the cuts are placed elsewhere, but not going into the classroom and remove the teachers from there, because that's what's going to affect the students. And remember, we must remember that the children are going to be the men and women of tomorrow. So we should find other places to cut funds and not going into the classroom and remove the teachers from in front of our students. Thank you, sir.
And Peter Stevens.
Well, for me, I've lived through it. I was a principal during Prop 2.5, principal at Memorial Junior High School at the time, and I had to cut 2/3 of my faculty. Very difficult. I had to give out about 60 letters. But now being on school committee and being on the finance committee and going through the budget many, many times, Dr. Knight mentioned cutting teachers. We did not cut any teachers this past year. But we did not cut any teaching positions this past year. We did cut some teachers for whatever reasons that the principals and superintendent deemed. But we maintained our teaching staff. I like with Ms. Reynolds, Miss Sally Cragen and I, over the years, starting with Andre Ravenel, we fought tooth and nail to bring back a lot of art and music because we believe that's very important for our school system. Making cuts is never easy. I never want to eliminate a program. I want to keep a program going, even if it's minimal, so that we do not lose it from the system. And I would spread cuts, if they have to be made, throughout the school system. And that would be it.
Okay, thank you for your answers. We have a couple minutes for open discussion. Any follow-ups to things that people said or any further things that anybody would like to add on this question? Go ahead, DJ Tardiff.
I would just like to echo Mr. Stevens' position. I had spoke with Superintendent Thompson about the idea going around that we did cut teachers this year. And what was explained to me was that the people who did not come back simply did not attain their licensure as required. What this says to me is that the administration is really, really dedicated to making sure that the teachers that are in front of the students have their licensures in place, have the education in place, and are able and willing and ready to provide our students with the best education. So to that point, I would not be looking to cut any of those staff. Like Mr. Stevens also said, maybe small things here and there, but positions I would be absolutely against. Thank you.
Anyone? Dr. Maritza Knight.
Yes, I would like to add, miraculously, of 5 African American teachers that were at the high school, 4 of them are not there anymore. So there's something to think about. I just wanted to add that.
Anything further from Mr. Stevens? On that?
African American teachers. One of the things that, even going back as a principal, I was involved in searching and going out to hire as many African American teachers as possible. I was the first administrator to hire the first African American administrator in the Fitchburg public school system. Mr. Jeff Forsey, very proud of that. He was a great guy, great vice principal, went on to be Title I director. I worked with Paul Benoit, who's no longer with us, and we went to Boston. We tried to recruit in an area where there were minority applicants, and it's very, very difficult. I went out to Pittsburgh, and I tried to recruit, and one young woman who came from Milford, Mass, actually, and she said, if I was to come back to Massachusetts, she said I would go to Boston or Springfield. She said that's where I would feel comfortable.
Okay, on to our final question of the evening. Goes fast. Children in school need to feel that they are in a safe environment. What are some specific steps you would implement? What are some further steps you would implement in furtherance of child safety, not just from dangers outside the school, but from dangers potentially inside the school? And we will start, I believe, with, now I've lost track here, DJ Tardiff, I believe. Yep.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First and foremost, I want to highlight a lot of the amazing work that the school resource officers have been doing within our department. Not only in what I've seen firsthand, but in speaking briefly with Police Chief Jeanne and with the officers at events and in different situations. The biggest thing that they try to do, at least in my experience, is make connections with these students. Once you have a connection in place, you can really get a beat of the school, you can understand what's going on, and it really is critical to maintaining the safety inside the school system. Additionally, one really big thing that I support is every kiddo coming to school empowered to just come to school, be who they are, and just learn. That's what they're there for. They're there to learn. We need to continue to empower all of these kiddos to just focus on that while they're in school. Go to their administration when they have problems, go to the mental health supports we have in the schools, and in talking with all the principals that I've been able to speak with, that's really the driving force right now, is a focus on community collaboration and mental health supports. I'm really, really proud to be in a school system area where that's our biggest support.
Robert Campbell.
Well, safety is a huge factor, You don't want students coming to school, obviously stressed and so on. Luckily, from what I read and talking to the people in the city of Fitchburg, our school, knowing the fact that it's a city school, has not been too bad. My previous school, the city of Lowell, I call it the biggie version of Fitchburg. There were some issues with gangs issues and different types of issues, and this is where the law enforcement comes in and play a key role. When I was a kid in school, when we saw a police officer in a school district, we'd say, oh my God, what are they doing here? You would be all nervous. Now, I think the students, when they go to school, they feel comfortable that there's somebody there to watch over them, and obviously some of our teachers, be the extra eye to look at the students to make sure they're being protected. Students among students in terms of bullying issues and everything else, they're all an umbrella of the factor of safety and just peace and harmony in the school. It's important, I think a student will be more productive if they're not stressed in many respects. And I think the Fitchburg Police Department, they do a great job as the DARE officers throughout the community. And this candidate said it perfectly. There's a rapport with the teachers, students, and the police officers, and making the kids feel really comfortable. And if they're comfortable, they could do well. They could excel.
Rosemary Reynolds?
This is a top subject because the world is turned violent in ways, small ways, big ways, national ways, international ways. And I think to be realistic, we have to acknowledge it and not hope and wish that our relationship with an officer. Schools are soft targets. I would recommend that there be a armed police officer and at least one armed teacher in every school, because that turns the school not into a soft target, and the police officer should not be in uniform, the one that carries the gun. That's, I think, is essential. Along with that, to get a right moral order. Otherwise, we're just swinging in the wind there, and that's what I would suggest: armed guards and an armed, unidentified teacher.
Dr. Maritza Knight.
Thank you, sir. The position of school committee member here in Fitchburg, just so all the new candidates know that it's not a paid position. The folks that does this job is because we love Fitchburg. We love the children in Fitchburg. We have vested interest here, and we want to see our students be in a position where they're safe. Safety is not just the major thing, it's the most important thing. And yes, we do have resource officers at most of our schools. I know some of them split, but we can understand that. But one of the things that I believe we can put in place is things like bullying prevention programs, and making sure that the administrators that are in position to take care of problems when there is a fight or when there is some type of sexual violation or whatever the case is, that they are on top of their job doing what needs to be done, and not has, sometimes we see things are just swept under the carpet. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but we want to make sure that our students here are safe, because the children are the most important thing. And again, I mentioned before, they would be the men and women of tomorrow, and they must be safe in order to be able to get an education. They need to be in a safe environment. There's a lot going on in the world, as my colleagues, Ms. Rosemary just said. So we want to make sure that our students are kept safe in every aspect of the word. Thank you, sir.
Peter Stevens.
Thank you. I agree with a lot that you've said. One of the things my committee, subcommittee on building needs, the first thing, making the building safe. We have brought programs to the full committee so that the committee could vote on to our cameras, our new doors, our new locks, it's not just our school resource officers, but we also have people in the aides in the buildings that are walking around constantly taking care of things. But it's also not just making sure the building is safe, but inside the building, we need programs such as restorative justice, or as I was very big into, responsive classroom, where the kids had somebody they could go to and talk to. And also you need a number of guidance counselors, administrators who are available to help these youngsters know that they have somebody that's safe and will be there to help them if they need it.
And Erynn Dayhoff.
As the only person standing in front of you this evening who sends her children into our public schools every day and has since they were 5 years old, this topic resonates with me deeply. It is an incredible leap of trust and faith in your community and in your social structure to take your children and send them into a building where other people carry on their education, their value system, and their safety on a daily basis. This is heavy stuff. Locks on doors, absolutely. I think that there are real things that we can do to make our buildings safer from a structural standpoint, like Mr. Stevens was saying. That said, for our community at large, when we live in a city that is truly a kaleidoscope of humanity, safety also comes when children can walk into a room and see somebody who reflects who they see when they look in a mirror. And I think that we are fortunate to live in a city that is diverse and in a city that can use that as a strength. And I think that when we invest in our public school systems in a way where children can walk into a building and feel like they see a version of adult that they could be someday, then that means we're doing our job correctly. Yeah.
Thank you. We have a couple of minutes to open up for anybody want to add anything on to what folks said? Tardiff.
Ms. Dayhoff, I really appreciate what you just said there, specifically about a student walking into the room and seeing somebody that looks like them. You know, some of the candidates are making a point out of race, and that is important. But at the end of the day, the community members are what these students are looking up to, period. Whether it's different poverty levels or different educational attainment, we need to be honest with our students about who and what we are, you know, at an age-appropriate level, because at the end of the day, these kiddos need somebody to look up to. And we have an amazing teaching staff. I've met with quite a few of them over the last couple months and heard stories from them about, you know, students coming to them and saying, you know, I didn't know you had this hobby, or I didn't know you had this thing that you enjoy. And those connections do nothing but support the investment of that student in their education. We need to continue to support our staff to make those connections. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, and we're going to go to closing statements, and we will start with Robert Campbell.
Well, thank you very much. As I said, I've been a school teacher and administrator for 35 years at 4 different schools, 2 comprehensive schools and 2 vocational schools. And especially coming from vocational schools and currently sitting at Monty Tech School Committee. And obviously there's a lot of problems I'm looking at where, being a resident of Fitchburg and representing Fitchburg at Monty Tech, I wanted to see a lot of our students that really could use some career opportunities, a trade, and so on. And the unfortunate thing is, you know, Fitchburg, they only allow about slot for 88 students from Fitchburg to Monty Tech. And it's a problem, and I know for a fact there's a lot of students that could use that, want to go there, but unfortunately it was very selective. And I sort of feel that I met my goal, and what I wanted to do at Monty Tech is a point where now, starting next year, they will do a lottery. So if we have 200 applications, the 88 will be picked out of the 200 rather than selectively interviewed and so on and so on. So vocational school, you know, is important, especially now with all the career opportunities, because I worked there as well. And I was at B.F. Brown, I was at Memorial, trying to recruit these kids to come to Monty Tech. And the attitude at the time was totally different. Times have changed now, all right? And it's great. Fitchburg has a great program in academics. We have the Honors Academy, we have honor students, and they're moving forward. But I'm concerned about the bottom 20% of the students that are not making it. So hopefully, you know, I would like to see maybe more career pathway programs at the high school and create a lot of internships. We need a lot of internship for the experience. So in the end result, I would love to see a student graduating from Fitchburg High with a high school diploma and a certificate, a career certificate. So at least they have an option. Because, you know, college sounds great. Everybody goes off to college. Oh, Fitchburg, we sent 98% to college. A year later, well, it's actually 68. Some of them dropped out or couldn't make it. It's tough out there in many respects. So by at least bringing some of these career pathway opportunities at Fitchburg, at least it will give some students a choice, more or less. And I know we have great guidance staff there, but there's only one career guidance counselor there. I'd like to see a few more and work with some of our 1,200 kids or so at the high school.
Thank you. Rosemary Reynolds.
My name is Rosemary Reynolds. I'm currently a school committee member and enjoying it very much. Through my work with the school committee, I can tell you, citizens of Fitchburg, we have a wonderful superintendent, assistant superintendent, everybody working, a wonderful relationship with our mayor. This is not always the way that it has been. We're all concerned about the same thing. I particularly find that you must bring God and morality back to the classroom. You must have a stable culture. We're not alone. We're living in a worldwide diversity that can't be anything except confusing to children. And so we have a responsibility for their education in reading, writing, and arithmetic. I'd emphasize those, make that the basis. Much stronger, and let go of experimenting, because what we've been through, we adults have not even realized the effects of what we went through with COVID. How did it affect us and our relationships and the children? We see it. We're doing a good job trying to keep going forward, kind of making progress, but we're in a flux of a time, and I do seriously feel that. Where bullying is like a word of the past. We've gone beyond bullying to killing, and that's why I speak highly about to prevent our schools from being soft targets for people that have lost their way and mean intent harm as a way to make things better. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Maritza Knight.
Hi, I am Dr. Maritza Knight. I have served as chair of the Student Support Subcommittee for the past 4 years, and I have been committed to fighting for a better education for all of the students here in Fitchburg, particularly for the 64% of minority students that attend the school system in the Fitchburg Public School. I'm striving for them to receive the best education possible so that they can be productive men and women in our society. So therefore, parents, if you are concerned about your children receiving the best education possible, on November the 5th, go ahead and make the right decision and vote for the candidate with vision. Vote for Dr. Maritza Knight for School Committee. Hola, soy la doctora Maritza Knight y he sido miembro del líder del comité de apoyo a los estudiantes durante los últimos 4 años aquí en la ciudad de Fitchburg. Yo estoy comprometida a pelear para que todos los niños aquí en Fitchburg, particularmente el 64% de los que son minoritarios, que reciban la mejor educación posible, porque ellos van a ser los futuros hombres y mujeres de esta ciudad. Así es que, padres, si ustedes están interesados en que sus hijos reciban una mejor educación aquí en la ciudad de Fitchburg, el día 5 de noviembre, por favor, tome una buena decisión y vote por la candidata que tiene visión. Vote por la doctora Maritza Knight para el comité estudiantil de esta ciudad de Fitchburg en Massachusetts. Thank you.
Peter Stevens.
I don't know where to start. First, I'm a graduate of Fitchburg High School, class of 1958. My 3 children all went through Fitchburg High School, all Fitchburg Public Schools, graduated from Fitchburg High School. I've been involved in Fitchburg Public Schools, I guess you'd say going back, even when starting with kids when I was 16 years old, working at the YMCA and with the youth at YMCA. I've coached football in Fitchburg. I'm chairman of the Alumni Association of Fitchburg High School. I'm on the Crocker Field Restoration Committee for 20 years, putting in the new field. I'm on the High School Hall of Fame Committee. I'm being in the High School Hall of Fame for playing football. I'm chairman of the CAPS Collaborative. which is a special needs school made up of 14 districts throughout this area. I've been chairman for the last 10. We run an excellent program. I've been able, as chairman, to keep the costs down. Our prices are $10,000 less than the Keystone Collaborative in Leominster. It's been my life, 35 years as a teacher, principal, then coming back, headmaster for the Arts Academy, filling in for principals and others, teaching positions until I went on the school committee. So it's just been my life working for Fitchburg and the kids. And I'd like to thank Mr. Campbell for his service at Monty Tech, and Senator Cronin for what they got pushed through for the lottery. It's something I've been pushing for some time. It's going to make a big difference for a lot of our kids, particularly the minority kids who do not seem to get accepted. Now they will have that opportunity through the lottery. So I would just like to continue serving the city of Fitchburg. Other things I've done, I was on the committee to start the first auction in Fitchburg with two of my brothers and Rick Cloutier, which is still going strong today. I have a nice letter from the Parks Commission for the program for special needs kids that I ran at Cogsall Park. I call them special needs kids. They went from about age 8 to 55. And so I'd like to continue. So on November 4th, please give me one of your votes. Thank you.
Erynn Dayhoff.
Hello again. My name is Erynn Dayhoff. I am a parent of FPS students and an active volunteer in their school. I was elected by my peers for PTO president for the maximum of 3 terms and have participated in 2 principal search committees with central office. I have built productive and cordial relationships with many of Fitchburg's teachers, staff, and administrators, and I am thankful to have found community in many of the families who live here too. To summarize some important topics, attendance does matter, but it's wild that we spent time debating the merits of adults showing up to do the job that they volunteered and campaigned to do. I think we should be focusing our attention on fostering school environments that are very clearly welcoming and safe for all of our students, in an effort to drive down the obviously troubling chronic absenteeism that we see in our schools. Test scores are the current formal way that we assess progress and identify opportunity, but we also need to focus on overall student experience by offering engaging ways to teach curriculum and supporting activities and learning experiences that happen off of Chromebooks. I believe that schools should not only be a place where children go to learn important curriculum, but also a place where they learn about our shared humanity and the joys and strengths of being part of a community. And as one of the only 2 candidates with school-age children, and as the only candidate with children in our public schools, I am deeply invested in our outcomes. I earned a degree in science, and I am a quick read, so I look forward to diving into the literature and data that is available to this committee that informs the decisions that are made on behalf of our district. And as a school committee member, I pledge to regularly review our policies and do my best to make decisions that benefit every student in our system. My experience with Rheingold PTO showed me how amazing and dedicated our teachers are, but it also put in stark display some of our city's shortcomings. Rheingold, for example, has only 5 counselors for more than 650 students, and a lot of our classrooms have upwards of 25 students in them. And as a member of our school committee, I will be sure to advocate on behalf of our teachers and students who surely need more support and resources than the current standard provides. Additionally, I do not think it's controversial to do what we can to make sure that our already diverse array of students, faculty, staff, and families are included on an equal playing field in our schools from the top down and from side to side. In summary, if elected, I will truly listen to the ideas and expertise of qualified peers. I will encourage and participate in creative problem solving and show up to do the hard work in the spirit of Fitchburg's public schools being productive, competitive, and inclusive environments in which our city's children can thrive. Thanks again for tuning in, and please consider using one of your 3 votes for me, Erynn Dayhoff, for a seat on our school committee.
DJ Tardiff.
Just want to take a second again to thank FATV for hosting this debate and the subsequent ones that will be on later this week. Again, my name is DJ Tardiff. That's what all my friends and family call me. My name on the ballot is Deanna Jeanne Tardiff. I'm running on just the simple fact that we need somebody that's going to put in the work, increase the communication with all of the stakeholders within the system, increase parent and family involvement, and come up with some new, fresh ideas on how to tackle that big topic. As I started at the outset, I have a special education master's degree and work in the field, so I do see the struggles that our lower test-taking achieving students have, as well as having worked with not only my family but other students in my career that have high achieving levels. And we need to be able to differentiate that system for everybody so that everybody can feel welcome in our schools. One of the biggest things with me is I've been involved in the community in different facets for a long time. I have a fairly good working relationship, or at least cordial relationship, with most city council members, community members. Like I said, I've already been reaching out to research information with the school principals, the superintendent, have met with them fairly frequently. I'm just willing to jump in and do the work, show up to the meetings, do the research, and I'm just asking for one of your 3 votes. Again, it's Deanna Jeanne Tardiff on the ballot. You can call me DJ.
Thank you, candidates. That concludes our school committee debate. I'd like to just, on behalf of FATV, I'd like to thank everybody for attending. And just a reminder to everybody out there, it's the local elections that make the most difference. And yet, it's those local elections that have the worst turnout year after year. So I encourage those out there to go, even in odd number years, go out there and vote. Just takes you a minute and makes a big difference. Thank you. Good night.